Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update on AbraSilver Resource Corp. AbraSilver is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker ABRA and on the OTCQX under the ticker ABBRF. And I'm joined today with John Miniotis, President and CEO, and Dave O'Connor, Chief Geologist of AbraSilver. Gentlemen, it's great to have you on the show, as always. John, I want to kick things off by just discussing the financial health of the company. You've had some concurrent news here on February the 7th. You announced the closing of a $30 million public offering. And then on the 12th of February, you announced a $28.5 million private placement with your two large strategic shareholders, Central Puerto and Kinross Gold. So $58.5 million has been raised here. That sets the company up, I think, for a lot of good activity in the year or years to come. Walk us through how the balance of those funds will be utilized as far as exploration, de-risking work, studies, just all the different things AbraSilver has on slate.
Sounds great. Thanks, Shad, again for having us back on. Yeah, as you mentioned, look, it's certainly been an incredibly busy and transformational past few weeks for us. So really happy to share all the progress that we've made here. So yeah, over the last couple of weeks here, we've successfully closed some concurrent financings, raising just under $60 million Canadian, as you mentioned. So that's clearly a very, very extremely significant milestone for us. We're now more than fully funded to advance Diablillos all the way to a construction decision. And importantly, I think, extremely happy with the way the financing went. The private placement was supported by our existing strategic investors. So Central Puerto and Kinross completed that private placement for us. So that was great to have their ongoing support. And then, as you mentioned, at the same time, we had a $30 million public offering open to new institutional investors. And that was very, very well received as well. So as a result, where we sit today, we not only have a very, very strong balance sheet, but I think we were very excited because we were able to diversify our shareholder base, welcome some of these new large institutional investors, as well as the support of all our strategic investors. And then we've also clearly seen improved liquidity since the financing as well. So a number of other benefits other than just pure cash coming in the door here. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, look, now we're fully funded for the next couple of years here. Within that time, we're going to take Diablillos all the way to a construction decision. We have a definitive feasibility study, which is due out next year around this time. But now in parallel, we can continue to aggressively drill as well. And so, we have the luxury of having that strong balance sheet to allow us to drill while we're working on the feasibility study. And so, yeah, on that front, I think it's just great timing for us to be hitting new high-grade results like the one we just announced recently here at Occulto East in brand new zones that have never really been thoroughly tested. So we can talk about those results shortly. But yeah, I think the highlight intercept from this new Occulto East zone hit about 22 meters, just under 3 grams per ton of gold. Importantly, that's in oxides. And that included an even higher grade section of just over 5 grams per ton of gold over, I think, 9 meters or so. So a lot more drilling to be done there. Thankfully, we have now a very, very strong balance sheet. And we're very excited about some of these new targets. As we've drilled out now Occulto and Jack, that's going to be, we'll have an updated reserve coming out on that later this year. And then in parallel, drilling out Occulto East and Cerro Bayo and some of these other new targets is going to be very, very exciting.
Well, Dave, let's get you in the mix here to dive into the nitty-gritty on some of these new targets. As John just mentioned, you've done a lot of drilling at Occulto. You've done a lot of expansion drilling at Occulto. You've done a lot of drilling at Jack and even tested the periphery at Jack. But now you're getting into some new targets here, Occulto East and Sombra. We had announced one hole into Sombra not too long ago, and now you put in another one. But this Occulto East seems to be the one that has people interested out of this release that you just put out on the 19th. And so basically you've got a nice silver hit and you got a nice gold hit in the two holes, 058 and 064. Walk us through some of the details here and what you're learning in this area, Occulto East.
Yeah, we've, as you've said, we've been focusing on Jack and Occulto resource estimates to include in the study, and we've got pending results on those. But Occulto East, we've had on the back burner for some time, and we've wanted to drill it. A few months ago, we had a detailed geological map prepared, concentrating on structural geology and the potential structures that are mineralized. Using that, we drilled hole 64 and came up with 22 meters of 2.8 grams per ton gold, which is very encouraging, of course. And so we know that that particular structure that we're aiming at is mineralized. We have a group of other structures in the area that we will aim at, which may well be mineralized. And I might just go one step further and say Occulto East is one thing and Sombra is another. If you draw a direct line between the two, it is parallel to the Jack Occulto trend. Now, we think at the moment that there's a parallel trend between Sombra and Occulto East, a mineralized trend. The advantage of Sombra, as we've talked about previously, is that it's very shallow mineralization. Now, we've only got two intercepts in there, two holes that have intersected silver in there, and we have two more holes pending. And we have a program of drilling lined up, ready to go, depending on the results of the holes that we get. So I'm more interested in the continuity between Sombra and Occulto. Now we're looking at something over a kilometer length. But it's got mineralization at both ends, and we hope that there might be mineralization in the middle. That's our target. So if you want a size target, the zone that we're looking at is a kilometer long from Sombra to Occulto East, both ends of which we know are mineralized. So it's a bit conceptual at the moment, but we'll soon have results over the holes. And when I say soon, I mean in the next couple of weeks in that Occulto East Sombra zone. Then moving on to the porphyry complex. As you know, we made the announcement and one hole there, hole number 56, got 36 meters of 1.9 grams per ton gold at shallow depths. And that is associated with or nearby anomalous gold, pretty high gold, up to 16 grams per ton gold in silicious zones on the surface. Now, those silicious zones on the surface extend for about a kilometer east-west. We've got the guys out in the field now mapping those. We've got a company called Specialized Geological Mapping who specialize in structural mapping, and they're very good. And I walked around with them in the field a week or so ago to kick off the program. And we're going to meet with them on Friday. We will have their new map. Based on their new map and previous surface sampling and our hole 56, which got 36 meters or 1.9 grams, we will design another program. So we're looking at a zone there, which we know is mineralized, and there's another zone of over 1 kilometer length. It's associated with, I say, the porphyry. It's an epithermal system associated with the porphyry. Now, going one step further, we know that there's a porphyry there. We know that there's porphyry mineralization, porphyry style alteration outcropping over a 3 kilometer north-south by 2 kilometer east-west dimensions. And at Cerro Blanco, which is the northern part of it, there's actually the porphyry intrusive actually outcrops. And there's mineralization adjacent to the porphyry of that particular outcrop called the Big Black Breccia, which has highly anomalous molybdenum up to 800 grams per ton and highly anomalous gold up to 2 or 3 grams per ton on the surface, with shallow drilling which has between 0.3 and 0.6% copper in reverse circulation drilling. Now that's the porphyry target. So I should say that the porphyry zone is a target-rich environment which we've only just started working on. So that's where I'm excited. We're going to be drilling there in 3 months.
Okay, Dave, well, let me ask you a follow-up on the Occulto East and Sombra. You're saying it's a parallel trend. Could you give people some orientation? How close is it to the Occulto trend? There's a map, and I will include the image of this so people have a visual on it, but kind of walk us through, if there is a parallel trend, if you get these other holes back, data dependent, will this be some of the focus of the Phase 5 drilling program that you're putting together? How many holes do you think you'll have to put into this area to see if, in fact, the thesis plays out and that Occulto East and Sombra connect? Give us a little more color around that thesis.
Occulto East and Sombra, if you draw a line between them, they're 500 meters south of Jack and Occulto. So the Sombra and Occulto East trend is about a kilometer long. as we have mentioned, there's the 22 meters of 2.8 grams per ton gold in hole 64 at Occulto East. And there's in the Sombra zone, we have two mineralized intercepts of silver, and we have two holes that are pending. We have, based on what we know so far, we think that those zones connect, and we have 15 holes planned between Occulto East and Sombra to see if they do connect. The good thing about Sombra is it's very shallow. It's underneath about 45 meters of unconsolidated columbium, and you go straight into chlorargyrite silver mineralization. So that's encouraging. So essentially, we'll be starting at Sombra and marching northeastwards towards Occulto East. But Occulto East, as I mentioned, the hole 64 with the 22 meters of 2.8 grams gold was aimed at a structure resulted from structural mapping carried out by a group called the Specialized Geological Mapping. And they've done a very good job, and we are following up on their structures, the hole 64 being one of the follow-up holes. So as I say, we have 15 more holes planned for that area.
All right, so 2 holes coming back still that you get more data on, and then 15 holes planned to kind of test that thesis. And like you say, march northeast from Sombra up to Occulto East. It's going to be exciting to watch that program play out as it comes in. Now, I also want to pivot up to the porphyry area, the Cerro Viejo and Cerro Blanco. You said that hole 56 really was the one that lit up for you, and it's a target-rich environment. Talk to us about how big this area is, and when you say target-rich environment, what other targets you're going to go after here to test the thesis as you continue drilling the porphyry targets?
The porphyry complex covers an area of 3 kilometers north-south and 2 kilometers east-west, probably further east-west, but as we know so far, 2 kilometers east-west. So it's a large area going from Cerro Viejo in the south to Cerro Blanco in the north. At Cerro Blanco in the north, we know there's an outcropping porphyry. We don't know how many phases of porphyry, but there's an outcropping porphyry there. And adjacent to it, there's the Big Black Breccia, which has up to 800 grams per ton molybdenum on surface and up to 2 or 3 grams per ton gold on surface, with between 0.2 and 0.6% copper in shallow reverse circulation holes adjacent to the Big Black Breccia. That's the target area for the porphyry. But in the Cerro Viejo part of the system, the southern part of the system, there is an outcropping epithermal system, both high sulfidation and low sulfidation. We're mapping that now in detail on surface in preparation for drilling. As we mentioned, hole 56 got 36 meters of 1.9 grams per ton gold in the epithermal environment. And that's really lit us up our interest in that, because it shows you that we can get economic thicknesses and grades in that area. In the surface outcrops there, the silicious zones in that outcrop form ridges which go for about 1 kilometer to the west of hole 36. We're mapping that now, and previous historical channel sampling on those outcrops got up to 16 grams per ton gold. But we're going to do a thorough job on mapping and sampling that area before we carry out our drilling there. And we plan to drill, we've got 2,000 meters planned now, but we want to modify that based on the map that we will have this coming Friday, actually in a couple of days' time.
All right, so obviously people can hear a lot of drill targets in both areas here when we're looking at the Occulto East and Sombra parallel trend, but also the Cerro Viejo, Cerro Blanco porphyry targets. Just as you say, a target-rich environment, Dave. I guess, John, wrap us up with all of the news flow that's on tap as we go through the year here. Not only do you have all this drilling set up, but the funding that you've just raised, the capital you brought into the company, I would imagine allows for a lot of de-risking, everything from metallurgical and engineering to permitting. Anything else you want to say as far as some of the de-risking that'll go on the project for the balance of the year as you build towards that definitive feasibility study?
Yeah, no, look, I think the next 12 months are going to be absolutely crucial for us here. Obviously, with the Phase 5 drill program, you've heard all the high priority targets that we have. We're finalizing our plans for that at the moment, and we'll be announcing those in a comprehensive release before we commence the Phase 5 program. So there'll be lots of drilling for the next 12 months. But then in parallel, of course, the Phase 4 drill program, now focused mostly on Occulto and Jack, is essentially wrapped up. I mean, there's a couple final holes being completed as we speak. That's going to lead to an updated resource estimate. We plan that sometime sort of in the middle part of this year, and then those updated reserves are going to go into the definitive feasibility study, which we're looking to complete in the first half of 2026, in roughly about 12 months' time from now. So the feasibility study, we're looking to do a very, very high quality study. We'll have some more details announced on that front as well as we continue to make progress. At the same time, we're also advancing already the EIA permits that we submitted late last year. We expect to have those in hand by the end of 2025. So when you look forward over the next 12 months, lots and lots of news flow, obviously an aggressive exploration program focused on these step out new target areas, permitting updates, new reserves, feasibility study. And then around this time next year, we plan on applying as well for that RIGI program in Argentina to qualify Diablillos for RIGI. And that's likely expected within the next 12 months as well. So I think lots of news flow. And yeah, we're happy to keep you and your listeners updated as we make progress here.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it sounds like a lot of catalyst on tap for AbraSilver. And for those listening in, if you want to follow along with all the news flow, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you right over to the AbraSilver website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for email updates or just follow along with the news as it hits the wires. Sounds like we'll be talking a lot over the course of this year, gentlemen. So, John, Dave, always great to have you on the KE Report, and looking forward to our next conversation.
Thanks very much, Chad.
Take care.